My lesson for the week came from actually church this past Sunday, and it wasn't the topic of the sermon, but it was something that the pastor kept just like dangling in there, just dropping in there every so often. He talked about living on God's time, and this kind of ties into if I had to call out a loss for the week, I would say it's like my level of presence, or just like being too caught up in feeling like I don't have enough time, and it like really actually like freaking me out a little bit to where, you know, even like this podcast was something that I've wanted to start for a very long time. It's part of a larger picture or goal that I have in mind for myself and for the business that I'm wanting to start, and how I want the structure of my life to be. And, what that's going to mean for the structure of my family and how we're able to spend time with each other and how we're able to do things that we'd like to do. I feel like it all stems from being able to take the step to do these kinds of things. And I have been so apprehensive and just like, I don't know if I'm ready, right? Or if what happens if I fail? What happens if I succeed? But it's like I can't keep up with the scale of how well it's doing. And so basically psyching myself out to where I'm not doing anything and I'm standing still for, weeks on end, then realizing that like, hey, 5 years ago, this is something that you said you wanted to do. Where would you be now if you had started back then? And all of that to say, I started thinking, I don't know what is the right answer between waiting and making sure you feel prepared and just going to make sure you don't waste too much time. Because yes, I'm 31. I recognize that that's still a pretty young age. A lot of the younger millennial generation is probably feeling similarly and thinking the same things, or maybe coming into Gen Z as they're getting older and getting into that area of life. They're thinking like, oh boy, uh, I'm not old, but I'm not 18 anymore. So that's how I feel, is like, I'm not necessarily a teenager. I can't really lean on the fact that I have a bunch of time. My body feels like it's getting older, and so that's like always a constant reminder of the fact that I'm sitting right now. I'm working a 9 to 5. I don't want to be. I want to spend more time with my family, more time with my kids, my wife, more time playing golf, right? Do it, personal hobbies, things that I want to get into. And so I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've been struggling with feeling like there's not enough time for all the things that I want to do, right? So all the things that I just talked about, starting a business, and even growing my relationship with God, and like this time that I'm supposed to be spending reading my Bible, or praying, or meditating, or trying to just be more intentional about the spiritual side of my life. And I'm like, there's so many things to do and I can't find the time to do all of it, and it just feels like too much pressure. So that's what I feel like the loss for the week for me was. Like, I felt like I caved under all of the pressure, trying to juggle all of these things, prioritizing time with my wife, prioritizing time with my kids, being at work from, I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning to get to work, so that I can get there early, so that I can leave relatively early, but then I still get home around like 5, and we're going pretty much right into dinner and then our bedtime routine. Um, and then it's clean up and wrap up for the night, and then you're doing the same thing over the next day. So it's like, where am I supposed to find all the time to prioritize all these different things and still be present? So even while I'm spending time with my kids, I'm thinking about all the other things I have to do, or while I'm at work, I'm thinking about all the things I have to do at home. So I'm never fully present anywhere that I am, and that just makes it feel like more pressure. Am I the only one that that's living like that, or what? Because it doesn't feel good, which is wild, because I find myself stuck there so often, even though I hate feeling that way. Um, and so I thought about these 5 things in hearing the like live on God's time type of message. There were 5 things that came to me that I wanted to share in the lesson here. So the first thing is to trust God's time over your own. And this is probably like the overarching theme of everything that I feel like I maybe should have learned sooner or realized sooner so that I didn't have this kind of week that I had. But uh, moving with purpose, right? And instead of with pressure and feeling like you have to run in every single direction, everything's on fire. We got to put out all the fires, and you're reactive and you're not thinking intentionally. You're not thinking straight. You're just kind of everything's freaking you out, right? Because you're dialed up to 11 and you're almost like panicking, right, with all the stuff that you have to do. And even the slightest thing of like, oh, it's trash day, and even that will send you over, when normally it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Trash day, just take out the trash, it's not a big deal. So moving with purpose, right, being intentional about the things that you're choosing to engage in. And I'm noticing that the hecticness, the chaotic feeling of like there's too many things to do. I'm going to run out of time. Like, what happens when I'm 35 and I haven't accomplished what I want to? And, I don't have any control over that happening. So I'm just worrying about the future. I have anxiety about things that haven't happened yet. And what I realized from that is that's the opposite of having faith, right? Because if you have faith that God is going to take care of the things that He's said that He's going to take care of in your life, then you'd have peace, right? You wouldn't be so worried about the things that you don't know are going to happen, or the what ifs and all those kinds of things. It would be like, well, I don't know, but I don't need to know, because I know what God said. That's why I put Deuteronomy there, 31:8. And that was crazy too, because my wife got this little jar for her birthday, from her aunt. Shout out Aunt Tammy. But she got her like these little, anytime you're worried or anytime you're stressed or whatever, pull these little papers and they have different Bible verses on them. Um, and this was what she pulled, and it was the same one that I pulled, and it was the same one thing that I read in my Bible like the day before or something like that. And you can see it there, but it says the Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He'll never leave you or forsake you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. And if you believe that, like a lot of us say that we do, then why would we be so worried, right? Why would we be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to get all these things done, and you're almost moving so fast that you're not getting anything done. It's just to feel like you're making some kind of movement. That was one big moment for me. It was like, I need to trust that He knows what's happening as long as I'm doing my part, right? He knows what's happening. He knows what time is enough and what isn't. And if we're here, we have a purpose, right? So we got to trust that things are going to happen in the time that they're meant to happen, rather than us making them happen in the time that we feel they need to happen, right? The other thing was obedience over urgency. So it's a little in line with what I was just talking about, not chasing every single opportunity that pops up. And this is huge for me, because I could go real far back to last year. August of last year, I got laid off from my job. And that was a huge moment for me. That was like right leading up to that. I had been praying and thinking about like, what is it that I'm meant to be doing? Even though I'm asking myself this, but I really know, because it's the thing that's been sitting on my mind forever, which is this, right? Is sitting down and using my knowledge and experience and all of that. Not like I'm some kind of prolific expert on these topics, but um, it's a voice, right? It's somebody that can speak some of this out there. And I feel like that's what I've been called to do for so long, that I literally got the sense of, man, God's going to take away my job if I keep making that the reason why I'm not doing what he's asking me to do, because I kept saying, I'm too busy with work and all this different stuff. And I had this thing on my head of like, if I'm not careful and I keep kicking this can down the road, when I know I'm supposed to be doing this thing, like almost like Jonah, um, and Jonah and the whale and that whole story. And sure enough, right, that happened. Other things in our lives, in our life, happened in our family. That was like, what is going on? And me realizing, like, wow, I think this is, I think this is one of those like realization moments of like, wow, I need to right the ship, and tried to, did what I needed to do to get my head back in where it needed to be. But then in finding a job again, I slipped right back into that mindset of like, oh, I'm too busy. When am I going to have time to start this? But then feeling out of place at work because the passion's not there, because this is where my passion is. Anyway, so don't chase every opportunity, anything that pops up just for because you feel like you need to make more money or something like that. And then you end up forgetting what your calling was. I think that's where faith comes in, that you follow what the calling is. And if that's where God's calling you, then you got to have faith that he has something ready for you if you're going to go down that path. It's not like he's asking you to take on this mission and then you do that and you go bankrupt and lose everything, right? That's not the God that we serve, right? So if he says that if he's going to ask you to go somewhere, that he's already been there and got it prepared for you. So um, we got to be obedient in following what our calling is. And then slow until smooth. Slow until smooth. If you remember nothing else in this entire episode, however long we're going to be, remember slow until smooth. This is something that I've eventually found out comes from the Navy SEALs, elite team of Navy SEALs. And it's almost like their mantra that they say about things: slow until smooth, because smooth is faster than speed. I'm going to say that one more time. Slow until smooth, because smooth is faster than speed. Sometimes we just feel like we have to move so fast to get stuff done that we end up making it take longer because we're messing up and we're stumbling over what we're doing. We're not doing a good job because we're rushing. So we end up needing to take more time that way than if we just dial it in, focus, breathe, one thing at a time. Slow until smooth. First time I heard it, golf. So I don't know if you're someone listening that you're like, this guy's talking about golf. typical dad, typical guy. Yeah. Because it teaches you stuff like this. Slow until smooth. That goes for everything. That goes for everything that you do. And this is also awesome because I would love for my kids to, when they grow up, watch this show back. And there's times where I'm obviously not thinking about these larger life lessons when I'm hanging out with them. So it'd be really, really dope if they grew up and watched this again and was like, oh, wow, he was actually smart. He was actually talking about things that make sense. Anyways, the third thing, patience in unseen seasons. This is where I feel like the season that I've been in for a while is like, there's growth happening, but it's so minor, or it's not attached to any tangible, actionable result, that it feels like no progress is being made. And so in this like valley, it just feels like I'm just wasting time, right? In reality, I'm learning things, I'm gaining experience as a dad, I'm trying new things, exploring new things that interest me. I'm reading, right? I'm gathering information and stuff like that. And while yes, there's a huge part of this that's true, that you just have, sometimes you're not going to be ready. You just have to take that step. there is that, uh, growing season where you have to just kind of put your head down and grind and just gain insight and gain understanding, gain experience, gain knowledge, so that when the time comes for you to take that step, you're not taking it with nothing, right? You have some confidence in what you are talking about or what you're doing because you've lived a little bit. I thought about it and I was like, yeah, what we know of Jesus and what he did, and what he's done was only in the last 3 years of his life. His ministry was 3 years. So other than that, you don't hear anything about Jesus in the Bible. Him as a kid, sure, yeah, for a little bit there as a young kid, but his whole growing up and experiencing life and everything. You think about what you went through between 10 and 30. That's your whole life. That's everything that you've experienced, until you obviously get past that in your 40s, 50s, 60s. Then you have experienced other things. But at 30, the things I'm thinking about, reminiscing on, are all within that 20-year pocket, even less, even just like my 20s. So what did Jesus go through in his 20s, in his teens, and all that different stuff that formed him and shaped him and prepared him so that at 30 years old, he started his ministry, and within 3 years changed everything forever. So, we're not Jesus, obviously, but we strive to be like him, right? So, I'm 31, so this it resonates for me too, because of that I'm right at that age, and I'm thinking about, like, man, like, boy, oh boy, I need to get moving. I have time, but I need to get moving. But also remember that you're in formation. It's not failure, right? It's only failure if you give up. But every time you recognize that you're maybe not doing as much as you could, and you feel like you're not doing enough, think about the ways that you're forming yourself, you're shaping yourself, instead of thinking of it as a failure. And then trust God and get moving. Trust God and get moving. That's really what I could say the lesson of the week is: just trust God and get moving. Because, you panic and freak yourself out so much into a state of just paralysis. You're like, I don't know what to do. And because you don't trust God. And that's what I noticed, that I didn't trust him, wasn't trusting him. Like I said, I do. So it's a little accountability moment. Like, if I say I do, then I really need to stop worrying about this stuff and just make the smallest first step. And so here we are, right? Be fully present where you are. That's the other thing. I think I talked about this a little earlier, but I'll be with my kids and I'm thinking about what I got to do to start a business. And then I'm at work and I'm thinking about how I want to be with my kids. And then I'm working on my business and I'm thinking about stuff I got to do for work, for my 9 to 5. And that, so, I think one of the big things is, when you're with your kids, off your phone, get off your phone, stop thinking about the other things that you got to do, because 30 minutes of uninterrupted, fully present time with your kids is more valuable to them than you there for 2 hours on your phone. Because they're getting your direct attention for a consistent pocket of time. So even if it's 30, 45 minutes that you're just full play mode, pretend mode, whatever it is, whatever age your kid is at, you lock in with them for that period of time. And then maybe you have to jump to the next thing, right? But they will understand, and they'll value the time that you were able to spend with them, fully intentional, right? The worst thing in the world for me is when one of my kids will come up and take my phone out of my hand, because they're like, "What are you doing?" My daughter will be like, "Mm-mm. If we can't have screens, you can't have your phone." All right, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You got it. You got it. But yeah, so when you're with your kids, get off your phone. When you're working, be intentional, right? Work with intention. So, for me, that means when I'm at my 9 to 5, let's give it all I got. There's stuff I can gain from that. Um, I kept looking at that as like a prison, right? Where it's like, oh, I really don't want to be here. I was just focused on how much I don't want to be there. And that's just not the way. That's just not the way to look at it. I love the work that I do. I love the people that I work with. It's just the fact that I'm working for someone and I'm not doing the thing that I want to be doing. And there's nobody stopping. The only thing stopping me is me, because I feel like I don't have enough time and that I'm not ready. And that I have to build funnels and like all these different, all these different crazy things that like they don't have to happen right now. But I want them to. So that's one of those things. When you're resting, actually rest. That's something that if you don't get sleep, because I used to think that maybe if I just sleep 3 or 4 hours, that'll earn me some hours, right? Earn me some time back that I can spend working on something, which I end up just being on my phone anyway. So, whatever. I didn't get myself any time back. I just spent my dopamine a little bit more. You actually rest, recharge yourself, because there are really only so many hours in a day. You might as well spend them more rested and refreshed than more than burnt, right? Burnt out and tired. And then this message is for me, but if it resonates with you, fantastic. No more half working and half worrying all the time. So just the worrying has to go. Let's go back to that faith moment of like, hey, if we have faith, we should be at peace. Peace is faith in action. So I'm going to be at peace while I'm working, work with peace. I'm not going to worry anymore, because I'm not getting, it's taking me longer to get my work done because I'm spending it worrying. Finally, the big thing is to surrender control, right? Do your part faithfully. Do the things that you say you are going to do, or what you need to do to make sure that movement and progress is happening, even if it's 1% each day. Do that faithfully. And then the really, really, really huge aspect of all of this that I'm still trying to learn and think about, it's helping me as I'm talking, is to release the results. Let go of the results. Don't worry about what the outcome is going to be. Just create, because you're called to create. Don't worry about what the outcome is going to be, because the more you do it, the better organically it's going to get. So don't worry about it. Just let go.